Home prices in Charlotte have dropped by over 6% in the last 30 days. Are we headed to a market crash? I feel like nowadays, all we see in the news is doom and gloom, fear, uncertainty, and doubt surrounding the housing market. But the big question is, what's really going on? And that's exactly what we're going to answer today. We're going to review the most up-to-date information on our Charlotte, North Carolina housing market so you know exactly what is really going on. If you want to know everything going on in Charlotte, North Carolina when it comes to real estate, make sure you click subscribe and turn notifications on. And also pop over to Instagram where you can follow us. We post there daily. My name is Josh Finigan, team leader with the Finigan Group powered by eXp Realty. And every single day we're getting calls, texts, and emails from people just like you looking to either buy or sell real estate here in the Charlotte area. And I'll tell you, we absolutely love it. So whether you're looking to move in 9 days or 90 days, give us a call, text us, email us, schedule a Zoom meeting. The link is just below. Love to connect and learn a little more about you and what you're looking to accomplish. And if you just are curious on what your home's value currently is, how much equity you're sitting on, we keep you up to date every single month with an in-depth home evaluation. All you have to do is scan this QR code right here or check the link in the description below. So let's go ahead and jump on in and talk about the macro trends we're seeing in this housing market. And let's start with the Federal Reserve because they met again late July and they decided to hold rates steady for the 5th meeting in a row. This decision passed by a 9-2 vote. The Fed decided to keep rates steady because inflation remains about half a point higher than their target of 2%, and we still saw a strong jobs market. But the Federal Reserve met 2 days before the most recent jobs report, and that one did not come out as favorably as we expected. The July jobs report showed that we added only 73,000 jobs versus the 110,000 jobs forecasted. It also contained larger than normal revisions, which left employment in May and June lower by about 258,000 jobs. Now, why is this important? It's because the Federal Reserve has a two-part mandate: keep inflation below 2% and have maximum employment. So before this most recent jobs report, the job market seems a lot stronger than it looks now, which is why the Federal Reserve held rates at their July meeting, and it was predicted they were going to keep them steady until the end of this year, or possibly into 2026. But now the market expects there's a 90.4% chance that we'll see a cut by 25 basis points the next time the Fed meets in September, which may eventually put downward pressure on the mortgage rates, but not immediately. And I know a lot of you home buyers and home sellers are hoping that the rates will just drop all at once. We're probably not going to see that. We'll probably see the rates gradually drop over the next few years. So the rates are kind of really here to stay, at least for now, when we can really kiss those days of that 3% interest rate goodbye. And mortgage rates really have been pretty stable for the past 8 to 9 months, really hovering between 6.5 and 7%. In July, they hovered right around 6.75%. And these higher rates have sidelined a lot of home buyers and also home sellers, because the vast majority of home sellers in the United States have locked in a very low mortgage rate, probably around that 3 to 3.5%. So a lot of them have also decided not to put their homes on the market, which has kept inventory relatively low. So we're seeing both parties, buyers and sellers, just not transacting as much as they have in years past. And for those who do watch our channel know that the home sellers have been getting off the sidelines a little bit quicker than home buyers. We've really seen the home sellers really start increasing and outpacing the home buyers since January of 2024. So inventory has been increasing month over month for the past 20 months, but has this turned our market into a buyer's market? And to answer this question, let's take a look at the most recent data on our Charlotte, North Carolina housing market. And what better place to start than the number of new listings we saw in July? In July, we saw about 1,401 new listings hit the market, which was a 9% decrease from the number of new listings we saw in June, but it was a 1% increase from the number of new listings we saw in July of 2024. So we did see quite a big drop month over month in the number of new listings, which we can partly look at seasonal trends. Most people start taking their homes off the market or not putting their homes on the market because they may be going on vacation in July, school starting soon. So sometimes you can see that number go down a little bit in July. But one thing I've seen just talking to a lot of homeowners in the area is a lot of home sellers are getting discouraged because, like I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of fear, uncertainty, and doubt in the news and in the market, which the average days on market has increased by 37.9% year over year, from 29 days on market in 2024 to 40 days on market this year. And the main culprit, the housing inventory. It's all about supply versus demand, right? There's a lot more homes for sale and the buyer pool stays the same, then you're going to see homes sit on the market for a little bit longer because the buyers have more choice. And you can see that in the numbers because the housing inventory here in Charlotte has increased by 39% year over year. Now in July, 1,092 homes accepted an offer, which was a 3% increase from the number of homes that accepted an offer in June, and it was a 10% increase from the number of homes that accepted an offer in July of 2024. Which I can tell you, our team saw this firsthand. Our team ratified 15 homes in July alone, and we closed another 16 homes. So we had a very busy July. We saw buyers are still getting out there and buying homes. So the number of new listings did outpace the number of pending sales once again, but the number of new listings decreased and the number of pending sales increased. And that can help bridge the gap between supply and demand just a little bit. And we actually saw the inventory decrease a little bit month over month. In July, we saw 4,712 active listings on the market, which was a 2% decrease from the number of active listings on the market in June. And it was a 20% increase from the number of active listings we saw in July of last year. And as we mentioned, housing inventory has increased, which is why we saw that huge 20% increase year over year. But one thing is, homes are still selling, guys, which is something I think a lot of homeowners out there need to hear. Homes are still moving, homes are still selling. You may have a few more homes to compete against, especially when you compare yourself to a few years ago, but there are still buyers looking to purchase homes. And the reality is, for over a decade, we've had ridiculously low, unhealthy levels of inventory in this country. We had a housing inventory crisis. So what we're really doing is getting back to a little bit more of a normalized market. And I know we all loved those years where we got 15 to 20% price appreciation every single year, but that's not healthy. And for those of you who are considering selling your home, rest assured, homes are still selling. There are buyers out there still purchasing property. You just have a little bit more competition when you hit that market, which means your presentation, your pricing strategy, and your marketing is more important than ever. So you want to make sure that you partner with the agent that can give you the right advice, position your property properly, and market it aggressively so you can still get your home sold. In July, 1,067 homes closed here in Charlotte, which was a 14% decrease in the number of closed homes we saw in June, and it was a 5% decrease in the number of homes we saw in July of 2024. So fewer homes did close in July, but if we look at year to date, we have seen more transactions this year than last year. We're up by about 3.4% year to date. So we are trending in the right direction by seeing more transactions year over year, but we are still seeing some of the lowest levels of transactions we've seen in over a decade. Now in July, the average sales price for a home here in Charlotte was $581,500, which was a 6.2% decrease from the average sales price in June, and it was a 1.11% decrease from the average sales price in July of 2024. And so you'll definitely see that the average sales price will fluctuate a bit month over month, especially as that inventory increases, right? Buyers have a little bit more options to choose from, right? So they get a little bit more pricing power on their side rather than the sellers having all of the control. But home prices year over year have really fluctuated really around that -1% to about that 3 or 4%, which is a little bit more of a normalized market. Again, I think those days of having that 15 to 20% year over year appreciation are behind us. We're in a little bit more of a normalized market, and the proof is in the data. So what does all this mean for you home sellers? Now, for you home sellers out there, you gotta know that whenever you put your home on the market, you're going to be competing with a few more homes than you would have in the past few years. Now, homes are still selling and there are buyers out there looking at any given time. You just want to make sure you have the right presentation, you want to make sure you have the right marketing, and you want to make sure you have the right price point. And the best way to do that is partner with the right agent. The day of just having an agent throw a home on the MLS and hope and pray and wait for 47 offers to roll in are frankly behind us, right? You got to make sure that everything is done appropriately so you're in the best position to maximize your value and get your home sold. Is it impossible to sell a home? Not at all, guys. We're actually in a more even market. Homes are still selling every single day. Like I said, our team ratified 15 homes in July alone. So there's a lot of movement in this market. You just got to make sure you're positioned properly. Now, all signs do indicate we will see that inventory continue to increase. So if you're asking yourselves whether you want to sell sooner or later, Obviously, it really depends on what you're looking to accomplish in your family's goals. However, we can probably continue to see that housing inventory increase, which means you have more competition with the same amount of buyers out there. Now, how about for you home buyers? For you home buyers, especially if you were looking to buy a home and maybe you didn't back in 2021 and 2022, you definitely remember those times where you had 41, 42 offers. You had to make a decision instantly if you wanted to make an offer or not in a home. Nowadays, you have a few more options to choose from. Inventory's increased. You have maybe a few different homes available in the same neighborhood. You may be the only offer, which there are still multiple offer scenarios. They're just a little bit more rare, right? So sometimes you're the only person that actually made an offer, which means you can negotiate a little bit. We've seen a little bit more home sale contingencies get accepted. We've seen more closing cost assistance get accepted. So we've actually seen a little bit more favorable terms for a lot of the home buyers out there. Even though you're not gonna be able to lock in that 3% mortgage rate, your mortgage rate may be a little bit higher than you've seen in the past. You may get a little bit more favorable terms on your home. And we're probably not gonna see that mortgage rate drop by a large amount anytime soon. But it really depends on what you're looking to accomplish. Like I said earlier, whether you're buying or selling, the question of is now a right time for me to make a move depends on your personal goals, your personal situation, and what you're looking to accomplish. So if you are considering making a move, whether it be in 9 days or 90 days, and you just have questions on the market and you're not sure if now is a good time for you or not, myself and my team would love to be your real estate resource of choice. We'd love to be here to answer any questions, sit down with you, take a look at your home, take a look at what you're looking for in a home, and identify if now is a right time for you. So feel free to give us a call, text us, email us, or schedule a Zoom meeting. Again, the link is just below. We'd love to connect, have that conversation, and help you make the best plan for you and your family. And if you just want to know your home's value and track how your equity is doing month over month, again, check out our website, scan this QR code right here, and the link is also in the description below. We'll give you guys a free and instant update on your home's value and keep you updated through the changes and trends in the overall market. Guys, thanks so much for watching. Until next time, I'll see you around town.